We get to the end of our rope with ourselves. We're full of good intentions, but we take ourselves out all the time. This is a psalm for people just like that. I lift up my eyes to you whose throne is in heaven. As the eyes of slaves look to the hand of their master, as the eyes of a maid look to the hand of her mistress, so our eyes look to the Lord our God till he shows us his mercy. Have mercy on us, O Lord, have mercy on us, for we've endured much contempt. We've endured much ridicule from the proud, much contempt from the arrogant. This person is in trouble. They're at the end of their rope. What's their problem? Well, it just tells us right up in verse 3, we're enduring much contempt and much ridicule. They are being ridiculed and treated contemptuously, and they're in trouble. Contempt is when you despise somebody, you look down on them, and you treat them as though they didn't exist. It's like, you don't matter. I wish you were dead. They were enduring much contempt and ridicule. They were being mocked. They were being shamed. The word much is a very interesting word there. It says, we've endured much contempt, much ridicule. We've had our fill of contempt. It means saturated. It means we can't take anymore. That's what it means. It means we've been saturated. Overwhelmed would be a good word. We've been overwhelmed by all this stuff. We're at the end of our rope. Sometimes it's the circumstances that we walk through. And it's just on and on and on. Bad news after bad news after bad news. And we get to the end of our rope. Or it could be in a whole different area. It could even be sin. Do you know that? That sometimes we're overwhelmed by our own sin and we get to the end of our rope because this thing has got us again. Part of our problem sometimes is we don't lift our eyes high enough. We try and deal with our stuff, but we never quite lift our eyes high enough to the one who sits on the throne in heaven. He's the sovereign God. I can bring all the stuff that I'm powerless to deal with to the one who's all powerful. When you're at the end of your rope, there's a God who's rich in mercy. There's a God who's rich in mercy. At the heart of this little prayer, the psalm rather, is just this little prayer for mercy, for mercy. And listen, prayer doesn't depend on a lot of words. It doesn't. There's not many words here. What prayer depends on is truth, and I'll use the word fervency or earnestness, or in this case, urgency. That's what makes prayer prayer. I mean it, and I really need it. Doesn't have to be a lot of words. This guy was, or lady, whoever wrote this, mercy. We've endured much. Have mercy on us, oh God, just plain mercy. Mercy is a powerful word in the Christian life. You know what it really means? It means we have nothing in our account to bargain with when it comes to God. All we can do is ask for mercy. To be outside of Christ is to be under God's wrath. And what happened on the cross was that Jesus took that for us. But it's a very, very serious thing to be in that place. Salvation isn't just, well, God decided to be moved somehow and forgive us by sending his son. No, the biggest problem that God had to deal with was God. How does he deal with himself? Because God's wrath is his settled anger, settled disposition against sin. And that had to be averted in order for me to get in his family. In other words, God had to be just and deal with it justly and at the same time loving. And the cross was the answer to that. It was the place where God's justice and his love met together. And in that moment of time when Jesus said, "It is finished," God had dealt with that, and a door was opened whereby anybody could come into God's family. You're dealing with a God who delights to show mercy. He's waiting for people to ask him for mercy. He loves it when people take that posture of humility and say mercy. He's all over that. Don't give up if you're at the end of your rope. Ask him for mercy. He's rich in that.